Is Google going to derank this stuff? Because I've been asked that a lot, and a lot of you might already know. AI detection, right? That's a big topic. We have ChatGPT getting watermarked now. So if you're publishing content straight from ChatGPT, that's another reason not to, because this is going to happen. OpenAI already said it's coming, and this watermark is going to be used by search engines to detect, okay, this is written by ChatGPT, therefore it's not for the human. So content at scale, originality.ai, there's different places you can go to actually check your content, because you want to do that. You want to run it through an AI detector tool, and Content at Scale has one for free. So if I had ChatGPT content, which I probably don't, I'm going to guess the app is down, right? Ever since it went to $47 a month. But if I can get some content from it and run it through the detector, you'll see a score that appears, and it's usually 0% human. If you have content, like let's say you're working with a writer, right? And you're like, I don't know if this writer is using an AI or not. Use these tools, like start using these tools in your process. You can even give these tools to your editor and say, hey, run content through this each time. So we can prove to our clients that yes, this is 100% human. Like you can screenshot this score, like include it in your service deliverables. We are making sure our content is 100% human. So that's a big thing right now, right? Is the AI watermarking coming on the scene. Like that's going to change the game. It's going to make all the sites riddled with content straight from ChatGPT. They're going to tank. They're going to go to the bottom, and it's not going to be pretty. It's going to level out the playing field again. But if your content is written by a tool like Content at Scale, which I'm going to show you in a minute, it's undetectable. And I mean, it's magic. Let's say we had content, we ran it through the AIO writer's process, right? And one thing we're doing, like I am pushing so hard on this, is YouTube content, blog content, and eventually course content where we can help people get their writers over into the AIO. Because when you shift into this, the person I was just talking to earlier, you can publish 100 pieces now for like nothing, but you still need that writer in the process. It's just like we're seeing one writer can do 10 pieces a day instead of like one every 2 days, which is unbelievable. So you want the writer in the mix, but you really want them thinking of this new process, especially if you adapt to the use of a tool like this, where you have undetectable content that's written. Okay, so we're going to paste this in, hit check for AI content. Here we go, predicting. Obviously, AI. 0% real, 100% fake. So this is a huge problem. AI.
Can I give you a different sample to see if
yes,
like a human written one, so that we can test that as well?
This is a huge differentiator if you offer services, to say that my content is undetectable. It's 100% human. And here's why I can prove it. Robin asks, what is it about AI it can detect? What formula is it using? So my goodness, the technical answer of that, right? I'm not a technical person. The technical side of this kind of breaks my brain because I'm a creative person. But this particular tool, I've talked to the founder, even before I joined, learned all about it, and they've stacked multiple AIs together. It took them a year and 6 full-time developers to figure out how to build their tool. So as far as I think what you're asking, Robin, though, is probably more about the detection side of it. So when ChatGPT was released, the same platform, OpenAI, also released a counter ChatGPT. So they released the API for the AI detection tools that are now out there, like this one. And what these tools do is they predict the syntax of the writing that a robot would do. So, there's millions of strings of words, and bots tend to write within certain string parameters. But that's like the technical side of this. So OpenAI released the same API. They countered with ChatGPT. So here you go. You can write with our tool, and you can also, the other side of the people that don't want ChatGPT content can also find out if it was written by ChatGPT. Okay, so now we're going to check for AI content. Let's see how good your writer is. Yes, they're 100% human. That's a good writer, Felix. Amazing. So that's what you want to see, because that's what Google will want to see, especially with watermarking happening. The watermarking thing hasn't even rolled out yet. OpenAI just said it's coming, and they're on record, so it's definitely coming. So while we're on one hand, right, September, Google says AI is bad. Like, it's actually a piece in their guidelines. It's not said that way, but it comes across like, oh, I can't use AI tool, right? And then in November, Danny Sullivan is like, we don't actually care that it was written with AI. What? They said that? Danny is on record saying that on Twitter. So they're really going back and forth here. And what it lands on is this content detectable by an AI detector, which, keep in mind, is coded by the same people that coded ChatGPT. So Microsoft's $10 billion investment, right, in OpenAI. So it's going to be impossible for us to actually predict, us as a human. This is computer world. Like, this is Matrix, right? These are millions of pieces of data, billions actually, of syntax and data. So when Google can do this, whenever they can detect AI content, and that content is produced and published on a website, that content's not going to work. It's going to be noticed by Google. So that's why I was saying, if you have a writer, if you have an agency, make this a part of your editing process. Have the content actually run through an AI detector tool, and ours is free. There's more out there paid for. This one's really good. It's built using the same technology that originality.ai uses. In fact, I think it's a little bit better if you were to compare it, which we've had clients do. What's happening is this is rolling out like as we speak. We're at the very forefront. We're at this ground floor really of a revolution, because what's going to happen is when Google can say, okay, all of this is watermarked. It was published straight from an AI tool. They just hit create content, it's spit out, and then they took that and published it with no thought for their human reader. So that's what's going to happen. And then when that happens, all that masses of content published without human intervention, they're not going to work. So that's why we can actually get ahead of that by saying, okay, our content rates 100% human, and let's make sure it does. And a perfect way to find out if your writers are actually using ChatGPT to create all that content at mass. So AI detection, while Google has said we don't care if it's written with an AI tool, watermarking is about to change that. Whenever watermarking happens, Google can actually tell. So keep in mind, Google is kind of going back and forth here because they are also in uncharted territory. We've never been in a world where GPT-4 is on the horizon. We've never been in a world like this where AI is this good. It's unbelievable. So if you can kind of predict the shifts, right, and stay ahead, then your clients, you stay safe as a service provider, and your clients are going to be the ones that are like, oh my gosh, I'm really glad I hired you. They're going to be very thankful, versus all the agencies or the marketers that are just generating with ChatGPT and calling it a done day. That's it. We can move on. Okay, so I want to show you what it looks like whenever we actually use this tool to generate content that is, number one, undetectable. So the content that this tool generates doesn't get read as AI, which is crazy. It took them a year to do this. 6 full-time developers. There's 3 different language generators that are stacked together to build what we have now inside of this tool. So this is what it writes. And this is crazy. The founder just talked to one of the biggest writing agencies, and they are going to start using this tool instead of 300 writers because it's so good. And for the last year, they've been writing their own content with this tool. I'm now writing my content with this tool, and it's ranking. It's working. So this is what the content actually looks like. Over here on the right, you have all of the keywords. And by the way, these keywords are pulled on the spot. Your research is done. So whenever you put in a keyword, you hit run post, it goes and crawls the top of Google. And that's a proprietary crawler that they built. There's no API for it. So a year of breaking things, right? And we're here looking at tools like this. I can't believe it. Like, this is actually good. There's good content here. And that's why, for me, seeing this, I could personally adapt, even before I started working here. I could adapt because the content actually reads well. It reads like something a good writer would write. And that's what amazed me. Like, these are long sentences that don't have fluff, that don't contain nonsense, that actually have flow. So this article, for example, the keyword was the history of SEO. So the opener is really good. The history of SEO is one that traces back to the early days of the internet, when search engines were first being developed and algorithms began to be used in order to help people find find what they needed. Oh, my writer couldn't write better than that. So that's why I've been an adapter to this tool, because it writes really good content. So let me grab all this content and run it through the detector. And this is really the crazy part. And we've done very little editing on this particular post. So I'm going to hit check for AI content. It scores 100% human. What? And this is one of the few tools that can do that. And again, like, if you're like, Julia, I don't believe you, now you work for them, like, go to originality.ai and take the same content that this tool writes, and you'll see the same results, because they did it. Like, they figured it out. It's here. We don't need a human writer anymore. We need an AIO writer, somebody that we're basically going to shift all of our writers into people that can take these AI tools and optimize the content, right? Following that framework.